Bit of atmospheric music, so we try this out. Hello and welcome to the Daily Red, your lunchtime catch-up on Liverpool and your daily reminder that you support the champions. I'm, of course, Trev Downey, filling in for your favourite podcaster, Dave Hendrick, and having a go at this video version of the Daily Red for once and see how it goes. Bear with me, it may be an unmitigated disaster. I'm not claiming old man inability, just literal no concept of how to do it because I've never done it before. So we are going on the fly here and we'll see how we go. Lots of good stories to get into with you. And you'll bear in mind that I will be staring obliquely off screen quite regularly because I want to get this right for you. Our first story that I want to look at is to do with FSG. And it's an interesting one because it's finance related. So let's try and share this screen here and see how this goes. Yeah, it's on Liverpool.com, which is obviously one of Dave's go-tos. And you can see there inside FSG's 1.5 billion talks with Newcastle's Saudi owner before Alexander Isak transfer saga. This has caused quite a lot of trouble amongst various people in the, let's say, alternative fan base. They are wondering what is going on, and the fans of other clubs are very much pointing out that this is some sort of a boondoggle, some sort of a swizz, some sort of a scam of some sort. Let's just see what the story here says. I'll read down through it with you and you can make up your own mind. So here we go. Inside FSG's 1.5 billion talks with Alexander Isak. Sorry, with the PIF, basically. Liverpool continues to be linked with, it says here, a second bid for Newcastle's Alexander Isak, and the two clubs' owners already held crunch talks in a meeting over 1.5 billion investment. This is a separate thing, theoretically, between John Henry and the Newcastle chief, Yasser Al Rumayyan, as there's a different deal going on. It says here, and this is to give the person their credit. Who is this? Liam Prenderville. Despite Liverpool's stance that will not return with a second bid for Alexander Isak, this summer's biggest transfer saga appears no closer to finding a solution. By the way, I'm not going to do a whole Isak thing here. At this stage, I'll be perfectly honest with you. I really hope we sign him. But if we don't, once there's an alternative lined up in terms of attacking potential and power and immediate out of the box ready to go, then I don't care at this stage because I'm not really into sagas anymore. Liverpool have spent significant amounts already this summer, it says here, with almost $400 million. There we go again. Or £300 million being spent, adding the likes of Florian Wirtz, Hugo Ekitike, Milos Kerkez, and Jeremy Frimpong to the squad. Those additions have the Reds perfectly placed to defend their Premier League crown. Okay, let's get to where it talks about this. Last month, Liverpool communicated its interest in signing the Swedish striker. Yes, we know that. Of course, the formal offer was instantly rejected, it says here, by Newcastle. Fair enough. And it was lower than that. The Magpies have valued their prized asset at $200 million. Or 150 million pounds. Okay, so far so blah. I think my favorite part of the Isak thing so far is the constant evolution of how this is being presented to us with with Eddie Howe, who I still think looks like a toddler on growth hormones, now laying down the law apparently and saying, you have to behave correctly. This is Newcastle and stuff like that. Fair play. It's a constant entertainment for me, I'll be honest. The emergence of the Saudi Public Investment Fund, or PIF, has had a groundbreaking impact on the sports landscape, particularly with the launch of LIV, or Live Golf, which snared some of the biggest names away from the PGA Tour. Okay. After a year of bitter jibes, it was announced in June 23 that a framework agreement was in place for a merger between the two organisations. 2 years down the line, that's no closer to happening, but Liverpool owner John Henry and PIF Governor Yasser Al Rumayyan have been involved in those negotiations. Last year, FSG expanded its portfolio by investing an initial $1.5 billion in the PGA Tour through the Strategic Sports Group. made up of a number of different sports team owners, with Henry among its board members. It was later confirmed that the deal allowed for co-investment from the PIF. Okay. Then he joined forces with PGA Tour Jay Monahan for a constructive meeting with Al Rumayyan in the Bahamas in March 2014. 2024, ahead of last year's Masters. It emerged that the PIF had failed in its attempts to lure the PGA Tour to strike an agreement. But the links do not stop there. The PIF owning a majority stakes in as many as 4 Saudi Pro League clubs. The funding that has seen the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo lured to Al Nassr, but there could be another move in the cards this summer, and this time from Anfield. And here we go with the Darwin Núñez link. And this is where people are getting very excited, because they are imagining in their head a situation where there is an overbid for Darwin Núñez from a Saudi club, so that there can be an underbid, in their opinion, from Liverpool for Alexander Isak. And this is where the mental gymnastics get going, and whether there's any aspect of truth in it, it depends on how conspiratorial you want to be about the PIF and their involvement in all of the clubs all of the time. But the Núñez thing is interesting, because we know from Ornstein's tweet, was it last night, that there is no bid officially, but that they have registered their interest. We know that our favorite catchphrase meister, Fabrizio Romano has left the Darwin thing as his pinned tweet, according to Dave Davis earlier on. I'll take his word on it as someone who scours the internet regularly for you guys looking for stories. So there's obviously something to this, and of course it's causing an awful lot of hassle. They go on to say here, the interest has now been registered to Liverpool, with Núñez open to the idea of moving to Saudi Arabia. This is what we heard at Christmas. And we were very aware that his head was probably turned by the likes of Napoli and the AC Milan links and stuff like that. While the club's head honchos are unlikely to have a hands-on role in transfer dealings, it once again opens up a transfer scenario. Despite Newcastle's best wishes, could the PIF in fact help fund Liverpool's attempts to sign Isak by making a big money move for Núñez? And again, you can do those sums if you want to do those sums. And I have a perfectly good cork board with loads of coloured twine, if you want to get stuck into that as well. It appears unlikely at this stage that any deal for Isak will be agreed before the new Premier League season begins in under a fortnight. The transfer window, of course, has several more weeks to run, and it seems the speculation is not going to end anytime soon. So that is that. And I thought it was a decent place for us to start in terms of stories. But where else can we go today to keep you entertained? Well, the second story I want to look at is more of a human interest story in terms of Liverpool. And I found it very interesting to see that This Is Anfield had gone with an Arne Slot quote here. "We couldn't have asked more of the boys. I'm extremely proud." And this is in the wake of the tragic loss of Diogo Jota. And that is really the point here, that Diogo Jota has been his absence has had such an impact, and has to have such an impact on fans and on the players themselves specifically. So I wanted to have a look at this with you and just walk down through it and see what the quotes are like and what we can make of it. And, it's just interesting to hear from the manager, who seems to say all the right things almost all of the time. Arne Slot: "We couldn't have asked any more of the boys. I'm extremely proud." This is Joanna Durkin, and she says, Arne Slot has spoken of his pride in his team in the wake of Diogo Jota's tragic passing, as he commended the football world for the love and care shown. "It has been a month since Jota and his brother Andre Silva tragically died, and there has been an overwhelming show of support from the football community and beyond. For Liverpool's players, they've had to navigate a pre-season schedule during an unimaginable period of grief." And Slot's programme notes ahead of their Anfield return spoke of his pride in them all. And I feel a tremendous empathy with the lads as they are trying to navigate this and negotiate this. The loss of a friend, best case scenario, worst case scenario, whatever you want to look at, the loss of a teammate and someone who is a peer. But Diogo seems to have been just such a good lad that, is kind of one of those guys everybody likes. And I lost a couple of friends at a very young age. One when I was 26, he was 26, and the impact it had in our friend group was quite dramatic. Quite dramatic. It it was never the same after that, and I feel for the lads having a scrutiny of the sort that they have upon them as they try to navigate this really tricky, treacherous situation of how do I behave in public? You know, the guilt that they'll probably feel if they're caught having fun on camera, the difficulty in constantly having to have the right tone when someone sticks a microphone in front of you. There's nothing easy about that. And of course, there are no correct ways to grieve. And like I say, my heart goes out to the guys. I think it's a difficult thing for them to have to cope with.